Have you ever stared across the room at them and wondered what they actually feel inside? It is a heavy, lingering thought that haunts you. Today, we are going to explore one specific, penetrating question that exposes their biggest secret. Ask this, and the mask slips permanently. You will want to stay until the very end. You have spent months, maybe years, trying to understand the chaos. You analyze their words, their shifting moods, and those cold, empty eyes. You bend over backward attempting to decode a language that was designed to confuse you. But the truth is much simpler than you think. And it is much darker than you ever realized. They want you to believe they are infinitely complex, like an unsolvable puzzle. They build this elaborate maze to keep you running in circles, exhausted and doubting your own sanity. But beneath all that grandiosity, there is a hollow core. A terrifying emptiness they spend every waking moment desperately trying to hide. Imagine a fortress built entirely of paper. It looks incredibly intimidating from a distance, standing tall and projecting ultimate power. But the moment a strong wind blows, the entire structure shudders. That is exactly how their mind operates. It is an illusion maintained through sheer force of will and endless manipulation. You are not crazy for feeling completely drained around them. They siphon your empathy because they have absolutely none of their own. Your light is the battery that keeps their false self running. And the moment you start setting boundaries, they panic. Because your clarity is the greatest threat to their survival mechanism. So, what happens when you stop playing by their twisted rules? What happens when you stop reacting and start observing instead? The dynamic shifts dramatically. You step out of the emotional fog and begin to see the strings attached to every interaction. You realize they are not powerful at all. They are deeply terrified. This brings us to the core of the dynamic. There is something they guard with their life, a hidden truth they cannot afford for you to discover. If you find out what it is, their entire game collapses. The leverage they hold over your emotions evaporates instantly. They know this, which is why they fight so hard to deflect. You have probably tried confronting them before. You asked why they lied, why they betrayed you, or why they never apologize. And you were met with a wall of rage, gaslighting, or deafening silence. Those questions do not work because they attack the armor. To get to the truth, you have to bypass the defense system entirely. We are looking for a completely different approach. A quiet, unassuming inquiry that cuts straight through the noise and strikes at the heart of their shame. It is not about demanding a confession. It is about holding up a mirror they cannot look away from. It is about watching their reaction when the script gets flipped. Prepare yourself, because what you are about to learn changes everything. Once you understand the mechanism behind this question, you take your power back completely. You will stop waiting for closure they will never give you. You will finally understand the devastating secret they have been hiding since the day you met them. To understand why this question works, we first need to look inside their mind. It is a place of profound, echoing insecurity. A narcissist does not experience reality the way you do. They live in a constant state of threat, perceiving every interaction as a battle for dominance. There is no connection, only calculated control. Deep down, they carry a fatal flaw. They know they are not the incredible, flawless person they project to the world. They feel a suffocating sense of inadequacy, a deep-seated shame that they bury under layers of arrogance and entitlement. They need you to believe the illusion so they can believe it themselves. It is tragic. This false self is incredibly fragile. It requires constant validation, endless praise, and total submission from everyone around them. When you dare to question them, you are not just disagreeing. You are threatening their psychological survival. That is why their reactions are always so completely disproportionate to the event. Think about the times they flew into a blinding rage over a simple misunderstanding. Or when they vanished into a sulking silence because you did not praise them enough. It feels like dealing with a toddler in an adult body. That is because emotionally, they never matured past that point. They are trapped in a loop of defense. Their greatest fear is being exposed as a fraud. If the world sees the empty, shivering child hiding behind the curtain, they will be utterly destroyed. So they preemptively attack. They project their flaws onto you, calling you crazy, selfish, or abusive. They must make you the villain so they can remain the flawless victim. Empathy is terrifying to them. Real intimacy requires vulnerability, and vulnerability is a death sentence in their eyes. If they open up, you might see the shame they carry. So they fake connection. They mirror your hopes and dreams during the love-bombing phase, only to weaponize those very things against you later on. They do not view you as a partner or a friend. They view you as an appliance. Just like a toaster or a refrigerator, your only purpose is to serve their needs. When you stop functioning the way they want, they discard you without a second thought. It hurts, but understanding this cold reality is the first step toward healing. This brings us to their biggest secret. The one thing they cannot admit, even to themselves. It is not just that they lack empathy or that they lie. It is something much more pathetic. Their entire existence is dependent on your reaction. Without your emotional response, positive or negative, they essentially cease to exist. They need your tears just as much as they need your compliments. Your pain validates their power. Your confusion confirms their control. When you are frantically trying to fix things, they feel like a god. They feed off your exhaustion. Your despair is the absolute sweetest nectar to their starving, incredibly fragile ego. This is why the question we are going to explore is so devastating. It does not give them the emotional supply they are desperately craving. Instead, it strips away their power and forces them to face the void they have been running from their entire lives. It is a psychological checkmate, and they never see it coming. Imagine the scene. They are doing what they do best, spinning a web of lies, shifting the blame, and trying to provoke a massive reaction out of you. Normally, you would defend yourself. You would cry, explain, and desperately try to make them understand. But this time, you just stop. You take a deep breath and look at them. The room goes quiet. They expect your outrage. They are bracing for your tears, ready to use them as ammunition. But you offer absolutely nothing. No anger, no sadness, no desperate pleas for sanity. You just look at them with cold, analytical curiosity. And then, in a calm, flat tone, you ask them the one exposing question. You look them right in the eye and say, "Are you okay with who you are behind closed doors?" Just that. Nothing more. Do not raise your voice. Do not add any context. Just let the words hang in the air like a thick, suffocating fog. Are you okay with who you are behind closed doors? It is a mirror they cannot possibly escape. Why is this so incredibly powerful? Because it does not accuse them of a specific action. If you accuse them of lying, they will argue the facts. They will twist the narrative. But this question targets their core identity. It bypasses the false self and speaks directly to the deeply hidden shame they refuse to acknowledge. You ask them to confront the very thing they spend their energy running from, their true self. The self that exists when the audience is gone and the lights are out. The miserable void inside. By asking if they are okay with it, you imply that you can see it. You imply that their elaborate disguise has finally, utterly failed. Notice how you are not asking them to change. You are not begging for an apology. You are completely detaching from the outcome. This lack of emotional investment terrifies them the most. When you stop caring about fixing them, they realize they have lost their grip on your reality. The puppet master has finally dropped the strings. Now watch their reaction closely. It will be an absolute masterclass in psychological defense. They will not give you a straight answer. They physically cannot. A normal person might pause, reflect, and say, "What do you mean?" But a narcissist will instantly perceive this simple question as a catastrophic threat to their life. The first reaction is usually a blank stare. It is the system crashing. For a split second, you will see the absolute panic in their eyes as they realize they have been seen. It is a moment of pure, unadulterated exposure. And then, the defense mechanisms kick in at lightning speed to protect the fragile ego from collapsing. Next comes the deflection. They might laugh mockingly and call you crazy. They might instantly attack your character, bringing up a mistake you made 5 years ago. They might feign utter bewilderment, acting as though you speak a foreign language. They will do absolutely anything to keep the focus completely off their deep shame. Let them scramble. Let them rage or deflect. Do not interrupt them, and whatever you do, do not explain the question. Just watch them flail. Their inability to answer a simple question about their own inner peace tells you everything you need to know. It is the ultimate confirmation that the person you loved never actually existed. This is the moment the illusion shatters permanently. By refusing to play their game, you break the trauma bond. You are no longer the frightened victim seeking approval. You have stepped into the role of the silent observer. To a narcissist, an unbothered, analytical observer is the absolute most intimidating force in the universe. You will start to notice a shift in their behavior after this encounter. Because you have shown them that you see behind the mask, they can no longer trust you to be a reliable source of supply. They might try to love bomb you to pull you back, or they might become incredibly vindictive. But the fundamental dynamic has truly changed. They know that you know. That is their biggest secret exposed. They are terrified of themselves, and now they are terrified of you. They will walk on eggshells, unsure of how to manipulate someone who cannot be emotionally provoked. You have effectively disarmed a psychological landmine simply by choosing not to step on it anymore. The fallout of this realization is heavy. For you, it brings a profound wave of grief. You finally realize that you cannot love them into being a healthy person. No amount of your warmth can fill their endless, freezing void. You have to mourn the relationship you thought you had, and the person you desperately hoped they could be. It is a deeply painful truth to accept, but it is also incredibly liberating. You are no longer responsible for their emotional regulation. You do not have to translate their toxic behavior into acceptable excuses anymore. Their inner turmoil is their burden to carry, not yours. You are dropping a weight you were never meant to hold. Think about the years you wasted trying to fix this. The endless nights you spent crying, wondering what you did wrong. You did nothing wrong. You were simply a normal, empathetic human being caught in the web of an emotional predator. They used your beautiful qualities against you. But those qualities still belong completely to you. As the fog clears, you will see the absolute devastation they leave in their wake. Destroyed friendships, alienated family members, and a trail of broken hearts. They move through life like a tornado, absorbing everyone's energy and leaving only debris. But the tornado has no substance of its own. It is just empty, spinning air. Do not expect them to ever have an epiphany. They will never wake up one day and realize the pain they caused. Their psychological framework simply does not allow for true remorse. They will continue to blame the world for their misery. They will find new victims, spin new lies, and run from that same haunting reflection forever. Your closure does not come from their apology. It comes from your understanding. By asking that one question, you prove to yourself that the emperor has no clothes. You stared into the abyss of their personality, and you did not flinch. That takes a level of strength and emotional fortitude that they could not even begin to fathom. You must hold onto this clarity. When the loneliness hits, or when you start to romanticize the good times, remember the blank stare. Remember the panic when they were asked to look at their true self. That is who they really are. Everything else was a carefully constructed performance designed solely to keep you trapped in the dark. Now, we arrive at the most important part of this journey. What happens to you next? You survived the psychological warfare and exposed their darkest secret. The mask is on the floor, shattered into unfixable pieces. It is time to turn your profound analytical focus completely away from them and direct it entirely back to yourself. You are bruised, completely exhausted, and your nervous system is shot. That is entirely normal. You have been living in a constant state of hypervigilance, anticipating the next attack or the cruel silent treatment. Healing is not about bouncing back immediately. It is about slowly teaching your body that it is finally safe to rest. For a long time, your identity was wrapped up in managing their shifting moods. You forgot what you like, what you want, and who you are without the constant shadow of their demands. Rediscovering yourself is a beautiful rebellion. Every time you choose your own peace over their chaos, you rebuild the foundation they tried to destroy. Do not let their emptiness dictate your worth. They chose you because you are vibrant, loving, and full of life. They wanted to consume your light because they live in eternal darkness. The fact that they targeted you is not a reflection of your weakness. It is absolute proof of your strength, your deep empathy, and your immense value. As you move forward, protect your peace fiercely. Set boundaries made of iron. When you encounter new people who exhibit those familiar red flags, do not stick around to investigate. You already know how that miserable story ends. Trust your intuition. Your gut was right the first time, even when your heart desperately tried to deny it. The healing process is not linear. You will have days where the anger feels overwhelming, and days where the sorrow brings you to your knees. Let it happen. Feel the emotions they demanded you suppress. Every tear you shed is a release of the poison they injected into your spirit. You are purging the toxicity from your beautiful soul. Eventually, the memories will lose their agonizing sting. They become nothing more than a harsh lesson in recognizing predators. You will look back and feel a profound sense of gratitude that you successfully escaped. You survived the emotional war zone, coming out the other side with your beautiful, empathetic humanity completely intact. You are much stronger than you give yourself credit for. The narcissist wanted to break you so they could feel whole, but they failed. You are still standing. You are healing, growing, and reclaiming your narrative. You have the one thing they will never, ever possess: a genuine connection to yourself and a heart that can feel real joy. If you are still in it, know that there is a way out. If you are out, know that it keeps getting better. Keep asking the hard questions, keep seeking the truth, and never let anyone convince you that your reality is wrong. You hold the pen now. The story is yours to write, and the next chapter is going to be absolutely extraordinary. They will spend the rest of their existence running from that simple question, forever haunted by the terrifying silence behind their own closed doors. But you get to step into the quiet light. You get to breathe again. Because the absolute greatest revenge against a narcissist is simply living a peaceful, beautiful life without them.